Richard Leavitt was convicted of a heinous
She'd been stabbed, I think 15 times.
and bizarre crime.
Her body had been mutilated.
Tom Moss prosecuted Leavitt for the murder of Danette Elge 28 years ago.
It was a real horrifying thing that had happened to this girl.
Idaho Falls news anchor Carol Honus can relate.
It was disgusting. It was sickening. It wasn't like anything we had ever heard of. It was so frightening.
This modest two-level house is where the murder took place all those years ago, and back then, this was a very different community, one where people were used to leaving their doors unlocked at night. But all that changed July of 1984.
The gruesomeness of it was just shocking. It was the end of our naivete. It just changed us.
Elge's blood-soaked body was found lying on the heater at the bottom of her punctured waterbed. Moss says Leavitt, who had known Elge for a while, urged police to check on her and was with them when her body was found.
He wanted attention, is the way it appeared. And he did what he could to get it.
Moss also points out just days earlier, Elge called police to say Leavitt tried to break into her home. But Leavitt's defense attorney insists that that call is like everything else in the prosecution's case.
It was a circumstantial evidence case all the way.
Murder cases very often are made up of circumstantial evidence because your best witness is dead.
Moss claims the best evidence was the blood. Leavitt's was found at the crime scene. He said he had a nosebleed while visiting days earlier.
It wasn't just a smudge of blood. There was a lot of blood there. It was not consistent with somebody that had a nosebleed.
There has never been DNA testing on this blood evidence. The gold standard for identifying who deposited blood and when and where has never been done in this case.
In those days, they didn't do DNA.
But Moss says Elge fought with her attacker. Should samples from under her nails be tested?
The Bingham County prosecutor initially agreed that evidence would be made available and then refused.
I leave it up to the courts. I'm sure that if they thought there would be anything gained by it, they would probably do it.
Nevin argues Leavitt has never admitted to the crime, and he passed a polygraph by one of the foremost polygraphers in the world, which is admissible at sentencing.
There's a lot to suggest that what we have here is an innocent man, and that we're about to execute him.
Moss disagrees, saying he's confident Leavitt is guilty. And Honus, who spent years questioning Moss about appeal after appeal, says the same.
They exhausted everything, and always it went right back to the right decision was made.
Roland Barris, Fox 9 News at 9.